Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. Amethi, Rae Bareli, Chhindwara. Now these are constituencies synonymous with political dynasties. Maharashtra has Baramati. The seat has been held by the Pawar family for close to 3 decades. NCP President Sharad Pawar has represented Baramati 5 times. His daughter Supriya Sule 3 times and his nephew Ajit Pawar just once. Now, Maharashtra has 40 Lok Sabha seats, but none will be as closely watched as Baramati because it's a battle between 2 Pawars. Sitting MP Supriya Sule and Ajit Pawar's wife Sunetra Pawar. The contest is actually a proxy war between Uncle Sharat Pawar and his nephew Ajit Pawar. Why the battle for Baramati matters? Joining me to discuss this are RENNI PRASAD, PATIL, my colleague Kiran, Tare and my colleague Brijesh Pandey here in the studio at News9 Plus. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. I want to start by asking you, Brijesh, can the fight for Baramati be seen as a referendum on Ajit Pawar's rebellion?
I can say that, because the fact is that if Ajit Pawar is able to win Baramati, it will be seen as a kind of a death blow for Sharat Pawar. It won't be finishing him off politically, but it will be seen as a major setback because this is one seat which has been pocket borough of Sharat Pawar for a very long time now. I mean, usually people have, barring Chhindwara, I don't think anybody has this kind of stranglehold over one Lok Sabha constituency as Sharat Pawar had over Baramati, and for him to lose Baramati right now will be definitely a setback, a big setback.
It's a prestige battle for both Pawar.
His honor is on the line. His daughter is fighting for the 4th term, and if he's not able to swing Baramati his way, then chances are that it will be perceived as like he's yielding ground to his nephew.
Right, absolutely. Prasad, is this Sharat Pawar's toughest fight in his election, in his political career? He's had a more than 5-decade-long political career. Is this battle for Baramati going to be his toughest contest?
Yeah, it has to be because you see, Ajit Pawar has been, controlling the state unit or the party organization at the state level for more than 2 decades now. This battle between the uncle and nephew is out there in public for nearly 15 years now. I think 2009, we have to go back to 2009 when Ajit Pawar became the deputy chief minister for the first time. He kind of forced his gain. Since then we have seen, and it has intensified after his son lost in 2019. Because there was a feeling that his son contested from Mawal constituency, constituency, and he lost. It was seen as if Sharat Pawar did not help him, much. Was one of the factors why he lost, and after that, that battle between Ajit Pawar and Sharat Pawar really intensified. And now I think this election will tell us whether Sharat, because when Ajit Pawar left the party, general perception was that he joined the BJP alliance because of the pressure of investigating agencies. There were a lot of leaders were facing corruption charges. And but ever since he has left, there is a persistent effort from Ajit Pawar to prove that he is the legitimate successor, and he has taken the party legitimately. Whether he has able to convince people, their voters, will know after the election results.
Absolutely. Kiran, you were in Baramati recently. You spent a couple of days there. You interviewed all the key, actors in this political drama. Give us a sense of how Baramati is bracing for this Pawar versus Pawar contest. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a fight that is as open in a family the way it has been in the Pawar family.
This is a very interesting fight, Steve. And what I realized on the ground, that Baramati constituency has been divided into urban versus rural areas. Urban areas is of course dominated by Ajit Pawar and his small supporters. And rural area, they have a kind of sympathy and a kind of affection towards Sharat Pawar, not towards Supriya Sule, but towards Sharat Pawar. So in a proxy battle, when Ajit Pawar is pitched, when he is controlling all the local governing bodies, the sugar mills, the cooperative societies, versus the emotions attached with Sharat Pawar because he is there since 1967. So this battle is spanning out in a very large canvas this time. Urban areas, particularly the Khadakwasla, which is the BJP stronghold. If Khadakwasla constituency votes in favor of Ajit Pawar's wife, which is most likely, because I was talking to Devendra Fadnavis, and he said Baramati's result will be decided in Khadakwasla. Because if the traditional BJP supporters, they come out in support of Sunetra Pawar, then the win is sure. But if the BJP supporters, they don't like Ajit Pawar because of the all irrigation scam charges and all the things, then there could be a different result. Khadakwasla is going to play a bigger role. Of course, here Sharat Pawar is trying all his political maneuvering, he's utilizing all his skills to get back all the smaller parties and the leaders he had not contacted for many years. For example, the Kakade family, which is a very prominent family, very influential family from Baramati. Sharad Pawar had cut down his relations with Kakades 55 years back. And 2 days back, Sharad Pawar went and met at the head of the family, requesting him to support Supriya Sule. So that kind of desperation he has. Supriya Sule wants to win this election at any cost.
Well, absolutely, and Brijesh, 83-year-old Sharat Pawar still, packing in power punch there.
I mean, if you go by his schedule, I mean, he can put all of us combined to shame. I mean, the kind of zeal he exhibits. And as Kiran was pointing out, they're like, if you look at the Baramati Lok Sabha constituency, has 6 assemblies, it consists of 6, out of which 4 are by BJP or people who are sympathetic to Ajit Pawar. But there are also various local factors at play. Will people would want Ajit Pawar to acquire a larger than life image and also become so powerful that he will be unassailable if his wife becomes a member of parliament from Baramati. Those are all factors, that will be very, very crucial in the outcome. And for for Sharat Pawar, as I said at the start, that it is for him a do or die battle. If he has to win this battle to assert his supremacy not only at Baramati but also to to NCP at large, sending out a signal that when it mattered most, the pocket borough, the family bastion supported Sharat Pawar, and the elder one in the family has already swore his allegiance, the elder brother, to Sharat Pawar, saying that this is something which Ajit Pawar should not have done. He should have put up anybody except somebody from the family. So they have not taken very kindly to the fact that that he has put up his wife Sunetra Pawar against Supriya Sule.
Right, absolutely. And Rennie, this point that Brijesh is making, that this is actually a fight for Sharat Pawar. It's like the political battle of his life, literally. And it's actually a battle for the NCP. The fact that Ajit Pawar broke away with a large chunk of the MLAs and MPs. And today Sharat Pawar is left with very little. So he has a lot to prove. A 60-year political career behind him. How important is it for Sharat Pawar, the politician at age 83, fighting possibly the toughest battle of his life?
Well, it is deja vu for Sharat Pawar. If you go back to 1999, when he set up the Nationalist Congress Party after having broken out of the Congress, and he had only 6 months, to have a new symbol of the clock for his Nationalist Congress Party, and he did do very well, at the state assembly elections back then, as well as the Lok Sabha. So for him, it is a repeat of that now, because he's lost his party symbol of the clock. Ajit Pawar has taken away 40 MLAs from out of the 54 who got elected in the 2019 state assemblies. And therefore, it is a huge challenge for him, which is quite evident if you see how he has been conducting himself in the last few days. First, like Kiran pointed out, he has gone and buried the hatchet, so to speak, with the Kakade family. They were, sworn enemies for years now. And he has done that. And second, which was something unexpected, we saw Sharat Pawar making a comment about Sunetra Pawar, who is Ajit Pawar's wife, by calling her a Pawar who has come from the outside. I mean, it is not expected, but that gives you a sense of how pitched a battle Sharat Pawar is, fighting over here to retain Baramati, particularly for his daughter Supriya Sule's political future.
Interesting point there about 1999. Brijesh, Sharat Pawar broke away from the Congress, and that was 25 years ago. And just 25 years later, after that moment, he is now back to fighting for his very political existence in Baramati.
Absolutely, and as RENNI pointed out, the fact that usually you don't hear these kind of comments from Sharat Pawar.
Yes,
he's a very measured guy, and
especially when he's talking about family.
When he's talking about family, we all have interacted with him. He's not the one politician who's given to talk in hyperbole and all. But for him to use this line that that she's an outsider, my daughter is like part of the Pawar family and all, shows the desperation and also shows how high stake Baramati has become.
Yes,
because for a Pawar to make sure that that he can sign off on his legacy, he's 83.
Yes.
And not exactly in pink of health.
Right.
So he would definitely want his daughter to be settled before health makes him or renders him incapable of carrying on this kind of political activity as he has been doing till now.
Absolutely. And Pawar versus Pawar there, Sharat Pawar at age 83 fighting the political fight of his life. And that's a story that we'll be tracking very closely, because Baramati is actually going to be a barometer for Maharashtra, which has 48 Lok Sabha seats. It's one of the most crucial states, but no contest will be as closely watched as Baramati. Thanks very much for joining us this evening, PRASAD, Kiran, Tare, RENNI, and my colleague Brijesh Pandey. Kiran Tare's series, The House of Pawar, has tracked the power dynamics in Maharashtra's first family. Sharat Pawar is a wounded lion. Can he make a comeback? Watch the latest installment of our series, Fractured Family, only on the News9 Plus app. Sharat Pawar is Maharashtra's senior-most politician. But at 83, he's neither tired nor retired. He's had a strained political relationship with his ambitious nephew, Ajit Pawar. But in 2023, things hit breakpoint. Ajit broke his uncle's party and took 43 MLAs with him. He joined the BJP Shiv Sena government. This was almost like a 1995 scenario when Chandrababu Naidu snatched the Telugu Desam party away from his father-in-law, N.T. Ramarao. Except that Pawar is no NTR. He's not giving up without a fight, and that explains the whole crisis within the Pawar family. We've all grown up drinking Bonvita, but now the government has told the e-commerce websites Bonvita should not be called a health drink. And this happened because in April 2023, influencer Revant Himat shared a video where he claimed that every 100 grams of Bonvita contains 50 grams of sugar. Now, there's also the Indian Medical Association petition of August 2022 being heard in the Supreme Court against Patanjali's misleading advertisements. Indians suffer from obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. In fact, India is diabetes capital of the world. Junk food is often counted as a more serious threat to life than smoking, according to some studies. So when junk food is passed off as healthy, then there's a problem. Why are misleading health claims like health drink not defined under the FSS Act? So what is the social responsibility linked to advertising that directly affects health? Joining me to discuss this evening are Revant and my colleague Ashok Bagaria. Revant, firstly, tell us about your social media post. What drove you to zero in on Bonvita, the beloved drink of Indians for decades?
So I strongly believe that junk food marketing itself as healthy is even more dangerous than junk food, because when it comes to soft drink, we know it is unhealthy. As a result, we usually have it on the weekends. But with products like Bonvita, we have it regularly. We have it, in fact, sometimes children have it twice a day. So this is like, in a week you're having it 14 times. So my point is, these kind of foods which we consume every day adds up a lot and makes it cumulatively quite bad. That's why I wanted to raise awareness, because most of the Indian youth, including the health conscious people, often drink these products.
Right. And, Revant, tell us what the government really needs to do to ensure that, companies advertise their products for what they really are and not pass them off as health drinks and energy drinks, for instance.
I think the government is doing a pretty decent job in the last few months that they've been active now. That, for example, this particular issue happened with Bonvita and they've been trying to get more strict with some of the other companies as well. I think the laws already exist. It's more about the enforcement of the laws.
Right.
So the companies usually find loopholes with laws and they just try to evade it. But I think the government just needs to do a tighter job with enforcing the laws which already exist. And if there is a company which is flouting any of these rules, they should punish them more aggressively.
Right. So, Revant, what next after Bonvita? Who's on your radar now?
I mean, if you follow my social media, there have been already 15, 20, 30, many more companies which I have spoken against. I don't have any personal vendetta against Bonvita. I've spoken against many more companies like, Maggie, Real Juice, and many more others. Yeah, I'm against any company which I believe is like falsely marketing itself.
Right, absolutely. Himat Singha there joining us to tell us why he's on this crusade against companies that misrepresent their products. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Revant. All the very best for your crusade for a healthy India. And I must ask Ashok this point about what Revant is raising, this thing about companies misrepresenting their products. That's in the courts right now with the Patanjali case as well.
Well, if you look at the Patanjali case, that's the facts and circumstances of the case are very different from the Bonvita one. Now, as far as Patanjali is concerned, Patanjali is also in the dock because of putting out misleading advertisements. It all started during the COVID-19 times, when Patanjali put out full page ads in newspapers saying that they had cure for COVID-19, and in the process also started peddling cure for incurable lifestyle disorders like kidney malfunction, liver problems, diabetes, heart problems, blood pressure. These are all lifestyle related disorders, and they cannot be cured overnight. But Patanjali said that they could do that. They got into trouble with the courts when they gave an undertaking to the Supreme Court saying that, look, we are not going to do it any longer because in the process of putting out this misleading ads, they also attacked the allopathic system of medicine. So when they gave an undertaking to the court, the court said, fine, we'll go by your undertaking. But just a day after they gave the undertaking, a press conference was addressed by Baba Ramdev, where again he reiterated the magical cure for lifestyle disorders. And that's how he got into trouble. Moreover, as far as the law is concerned, there is the Prevention of Magical Remedies and Drugs Act, which prohibits advertisement of any medicine. And even today, when the hearing was going on, Baba Ramdev, who personally apologized to the court, the court pointed out that under the Drugs and Magical Remedies Act, no pharmacist, no doctor can advertise a medicine or its efficacy.
Absolutely. And Dr. Jailal just joins us, Ashok. And Dr. Jailal, this thing of companies making false promises in the news these days. We were just talking to a young activist who's pointed out the fact that Bonvita is not a health drink. And of course, you have the case of Patanjali that my colleague Ashok here was talking about, where they're accused of making false promises. How important are these two cases in understanding this whole controversy about companies making false promises to consumers?
Yeah, it is a very important issue. I'm so happy that today that the world is opening up to this, and this from various sectors of the modern medicine also, that we were raising this issue, because a lot of false advertisement, especially by the film stars and the top level people, are coming forward and advertising something which is beyond any scientific evidence based thing. And unfortunately, when somebody is having a disease, especially in the field of either the nutrition, overweight, or sexual disorders, and people feel it is something taboo to talk about this, so they always find out this kind of advertisement as a solacing one and getting into the trap. The amount of money spent on, not only the economical money spent, but also the the healthcare disorders inflicted upon them by using this kind of unhealthy advertisement, whether of food or the medicine, is tremendous. And we are getting in a hospital, we are getting extremely lot number of cases are coming with the struggling. So especially with the Patanjali, which we started because coronary at that time when we were all struggling,
yes.
and we said the vaccination was, the Honorable Prime Minister was coming out to say everybody to take a vaccine.
Right.
And somebody coming and saying you have a tablet which can cure anything. We have nothing against any individual. We have nothing against any system. But what we wanted is it is a appropriate scientific data should be given to the people. And we need to establish something like a press in India. That is the freedom for the press is there. But similarly, when the wrong things are given to the people, and it is going to be a big hazard. During the time of COVID, we used to say it is more than the virus, the wrong information. They spread very fastly, they do not respect the region or boundaries. It can pass quickly and creating a lot of havoc and complications. I'm extremely delighted, extremely happy. Our Honorable Supreme Court is taking this issue in a very strict sense and trying to impose some kind of regulation. And the media, like you, are taking up this issue to sensitize the people. I think this will go in a long way to see at least bring some fear in the people of the profit-oriented companies to restrict their advertisements in the market.
Right. Ashok, you think that there's a greater awareness now among in the courts, among consumers, as the point that Revant was making is that all these laws exist, the magical act that you mentioned.
Drugs and Magical Remedies
Drugs
Act.
and Magical Remedies Act, which has been around for almost 70 years. But it's not been really, it's been sparingly enforced. But now you're seeing a spate of cases like this. Is there a greater awareness about health issues now in the courts?
Well, people are definitely more aware about their health, the health of their children, their parents, their spouses, and their friends.
Yes.
But when we talk of this awareness is just confined to, if I were to look at the whole population of India, I would say this kind of awareness exists only to a handful of people living in urban centers.
Right.
What about those poor people who live in rural centers? Let's again go to the case of Bonvita.
Right.
That sweet energy drink.
Yes.
The government of India comes out with a notification or with an order saying that e-commerce websites should not sell this product as an energy drink.
Right. Or a health drink.
As a health drink.
Right.
So, what about those poor people who's buying a small pack of Bonvita that person doesn't know, but there is advertisement which is basically e-commerce websites are selling this as a health drink. But what about advertising? What about advertising on television channels? What about advertising on internet? Because you see, the whole game of advertisement has changed. Advertisement and marketing has changed with the advent and huge and rapid growth of internet. Advertisements and are flooding the internet.
And they got onto social media now.
Everybody is on social media. So how do you deal with that? I would say this Bonvita case is a flash in the pan. But at the same time, a flash in the pan, but in the right direction. Because, you know, for so many years, at least I have grown up drinking Bonvita, Boost and other health drinks. And my parents fed me because they felt that, oh, this is going to help my child give some supplement, nutrition and so on and so forth.
And it was just the sugar
but it was just a sugar rush that was getting into my body. But at the end of the day, what is required is that a more regulated and tighter scrutiny over these products.
Tighter scrutiny over these products. And in fact, Pushpa Girimaji just joins us now. Pushpa, you've been at the forefront of consumer rights for several years. How significant is this ruling by the Commerce and Industry Ministry and the FSSAI on, telling Bonvita that they can't call themselves a health drink?
It's extremely important, and I'm really glad that they've done it, because there are so many such claims by food manufacturers. Like in this case, when they said it's high in sugar and there are many such drinks. I remember sometime in 2018, I think some nutritionist had written to Amitabh Bachchan asking him not to associate himself with Horlicks promotion because of high sugar content. So there are so many such drinks. One is drinks which are meant for children, which are not really, the false claims that they make in many cases. In fact, Advertising Standards Council of India has in several cases pointed out that they are, misleading claims. So we really, this is very important, extremely important from the point of view of health of consumers, health of children, because we all know obesity. I mean, we are having a lot of problems with obesity in children. And also various other, issues such as child diabetes and things like that. So something like this is extremely important. In fact, I must say that now we have a consumer protection regulator under the Consumer Protection Act, and the authority is also, it has really considerable powers to, investigate into these kind of claims and then not just stop them, but also impose heavy penalty on them, and also if need be compensate consumers who are affected. So of course they have started taking a lot of these issues, but I think we do need to do more in this area to protect not just children, but even senior citizens and all consumers.
Absolutely. And Dr. Jailal, since we are talking about, as Ashok was mentioning, that there's been this explosion of advertising on social media by processed food companies, and we all seem to be heading towards this standard American diet with this, tsunami of processed food. What are the rights of consumers in such a scenario? I mean, how do you tell consumers to read the fine print and to be aware of what they are eating or consuming? May not be a health drink, it may not be an energy drink. How do you read the fine print on all these products that claim to be health and energy drinks?
Yeah, that is our the Food and Corporation that is taking a lot of efforts to see to that the fine prints are given in a proper way, so that the people will be able to understand instead of giving just in a dessert. But every one of us to understand that it's a basic concept that we need to live in the society. The nature is good enough to give us all that what we need, and everyone's living in a particular area is acclimatized to the particular type of geographical situation, and the food what we are going to get in that area, or the geographical, the natural foods which are going to get are going to be the best food. And when it is coming as a processing, it always they are going to add a lot of chemicals into that as a preservative. So first thing which we need to check that is whether what is the preservative which is added unto that. And second thing is, one is the worst which is happening in the whole of the society in the food we need is the sugar. When there is a carbohydrate, the sugar component of it is going to be high, and that has to be little bit taken with care. The third, with the fine print, you need to see the expiry date. And we talk about the drugs with the expiry date, but many food material, many packets which is coming with the expiry date. If it is, they are not mentioning the expiry date, you need to be extra cautious on that. And whenever you are choosing that drug, you need to see that. Please understand, it is not only the food material which is going to cause the problem. What I am seeing is a lot of the facial creams and decorative items, the ointments which you are going to put. And they are giving, we are seeing cases of malignancy, cancer developing because of these cases. Another area where we are getting this food not only spoil your health. Today we are seeing 15 to 20% of our girls are infertile, or our newly married people are infertile. One of the commonest risks is this chemical, artificial chemicals, and this chemical added to the food. Today the society is giving many people after marriage, they are becoming, it is a big problem. We are forgetting that pregnancy is a natural process. Now it is becoming a big level of things. All this is as a result of unscrupulous this food material. So please give extra effort and also look at the calories which you are going to give. Sometimes each food, if there is small food which is going to give 800, 700 calories, your average calorie you require per day is around 2000 only. That is, we are going to get from multiple food. But if you are taking something which having an extra calories, that is also adding onto your body. We always say sensible eating. Sensible eating depends upon the number of food you are going to take and how you are going to spend it out. And if you have a good exercise and good system of your lifestyle, and whatever the food you are going to take is not going to be a problem. But if you are a sedentary life or an old age or a child, and if you are taking too much of calorie, that itself is going to harm you.
Absolutely. Pushpa, this point again that Ashok mentioned, the fact that how do you, while, in urban areas, there is greater awareness about these products, and we obviously look at the fine print more closely. But what do you do in large parts of rural India, which are massive consumers of this processed food and all that? How do rural consumers, for instance, read the fine print on all these products?
You see, consumers have a right to information and informed choice. Consumers have a right to, healthy foods and all that. But unfortunately, what gives us this right is the list of ingredients on a package.
Yes.
But unfortunately, those ingredients are in English. And how many people in India really be able to read it, or even English speaking and people who can read won't be able to understand most of it, or they don't bother because it's in such small, minute print. So I do feel one is that, in fact, that's the reason why there was this proposal that before FSSAI, that, these traffic signal, lighting should be, branding should be taken up. Which means that foods which are high in salt, sugar and fat, they should have a red light, so that, that is simple. So you can, educate consumers and say, don't buy foods which have a red spot, dot on it and things like that. That is much more easier. In fact, there was a proposal, FSSAI was considering various ways of doing it. And I was also very strongly in favor of this traffic signal method.
Yes.
But to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that has happened, because I don't see on packages that red labeled and things like that. So, and it's not just sugar. I find there are lots of foods which are very high in salt, and most people do not know. And now it's well known that salt not only causes hypertension, but also they say promotes diabetes. Some research has shown. So we really need to bother about the contents of food. Also, I must mention that in many countries, the food regulators have forced manufacturers to reduce salt, sugar and fat in their foods, particularly salt and sugar.
Yes.
And I remember some years ago, FSSAI started this, but I don't know how far it succeeded, because we still find food packages with lots of sugar, lots of salt, and I find these days, unfortunately, in villages, small towns and villages, parents have started giving children these packed foods, which are totally unhealthy, because they have no information. They have no knowledge that these are not healthy foods. So we really need to educate consumers. In fact, Consumer Affairs Ministry, FSSAI also needs to educate consumers, particularly in rural areas. And I also feel that the food information, the package information, labeling has to be in not just English, but also local language. I think it's very essential, so that the people, who do not follow or read English are able to read it and understand it. But yes, consumer education is absolutely essential. But also, why should we have in the first place foods that are so high in salt, sugar and fat, when we know it causes so many diseases? And particularly when children eat them, they grow up with all kinds of health-related issues. So why should we have them in the first place? So we need to regulate such foods, and we need to enforce, ensure that food, that is the processed foods, packaged foods, all contain these harmful ingredients in very, very limited and safe quantities.
Absolutely, right. Very, very great suggestions there, Ashok. Labeling processed food packages the way you would say mark a cigarette, packet, and you think we are headed in that direction, given the kind of increasing awareness that's coming up. There's war against processed foods.
That is where we need to go. But as Pushpa was pointing out about that, there should be a higher degree of awareness with respect to the salt and sugar content. But you have to understand, when the moment you reduce the salt and sugar content, the shelf life of the product goes down.
Right.
So no corporate or FMCG producer will agree to that kind of a proposal.
And plus it reduces the taste as well.
It reduces the taste also. But one thing that I want to say is that, look, if you look at misleading advertisements, they can broadly be classified into advertisements which push health products and which push non-health products. So there are products like, for instance, we were talking about Patanjali. Now, these are, this is
a false claim.
It's a false claim. It's peddling health cure or a drug whose efficacy is not known. But the consequences for the health products are so severe because it impacts a child, a young man, a senior citizen, besides burning a hole in the pockets of the consumers. So this is one area in which the government has to be very, very vigilant and has to act with all degree of alacrity compared to non-health products. Non-health products can wait. Let's wait. Let's focus that what we want to do. And it was a good suggestion from Pushpa also when she said that instead of labeling, how many people you have to break the literacy barrier. So we have to talk about some making up of symbols. Now there was this idea of traffic symbols, but now these traffic symbols of green and red are now being used for vegetarian and non-vegetarian products rather than products with high sugar or low sugar content. But so we need to evolve these symbols which actually break the literacy barrier.
Symbols that break the literacy barrier is great suggestion there, Ashok. And you know, how about a speaking barcode, for instance, the kind that you have in Paytm when you do a transaction, it speaks up. I mean, if you have a barcode that someone can run their smartphone on and it actually speaks out the ingredients of the contents of that. But of course, that doesn't apply to someone who's making false and misleading claims, which, as you correctly pointed out, is the bigger worry. And the good part is, Ashok, that finally the courts seem to have woken up. The ministries and the government are fully seized of the matter. False promises, that's a debate, that's a long-standing debate that's been on for several years, but there have been some very key interventions, what we just discussed this evening with our experts, Pushpa and Dr. Jailal, and of course my colleague Ashok here in the studio. False promises, consumers held ransom to unscrupulous companies making false promises, and of course the government stepping in, intervening, making a difference. But as they always say, that it's consumers have to be vigilant, no matter who makes those claims, whether they are FMCG companies or health practitioners of guys who give out health remedies, like we've just seen in the courts. And this is a story that we'll be following very closely, given the impact on India, which is the diabetes capital of the world, as we just discussed. But thanks very much for watching us this evening on the News 9 Plus show.